welcome back to my Halloween month reviews, and for this video we are covering I Am Legend, directed by Francis Lawrence and stars Will Smith as Robert Neville, a scientist for the army that's been left behind in New York to create a cure for the plague that caused a lot of people around him to turn into an infected monster, and Neville is the only one that hasn't been infected, so he has to stay out in the daylight and create a cure while also trying to call for anyone who's out there that's also trying to survive like he is. This is loosely based off of the book by Richard Matheson, because instead of this movie being about vampires like the book is, this movie is about people getting infected, sort of like zombies, where they are the nocturnal kind where they only come out in the nighttime, because if they come out in the daytime, they burn up and die. So they're technically like the zombies from 28 Days Later, except toned down the violence for its PG-13 rating. This is one of those nostalgic films for me where it was kind of getting me used to watching some of the more darker films that weren't always family friendly to me, but I was kind of slowly starting to learn more about film over the years when I was a teenager and seeing some dark and comedic films as well, like Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, and eventually got to I Am Legend because I was kind of learning more about like some zombie films that some people were talking about, and it was very new in my mind back then. And every time where I'm at home and it's starting to feel very quiet and peaceful, I would sometimes just put I Am Legend on and feel like I am in this moment with the character, because it's one of those films, at least for me, where you get sucked into the world of I Am Legend and you feel like you're there. And every time I watch it, I feel like I'm watching a real moment where a character is just walking around in an isolated city with no one around to talk to, and knowing that they actually filmed some scenes in New York City and closed Fifth Avenue just so that they can film some scenes, that shows you that they are trying to make this look real but also make it feel isolated. And they did a really good job making New York look like it's a very quiet and isolated place, which is kind of weird to say because New York City is not a very quiet place at all. And for me, I think this is one of the more underrated Will Smith films. It's not perfect, it does have some issues, and some people have some issues with the ending, which we will talk about that later. And this is one of Will Smith's more serious roles because he's known for doing some more charismatic performances in movies like Men in Black or Independence Day, and he would sometimes get some more serious roles in other films like Pursuit of Happiness. And this is one of those roles where he's more serious, even though he does have a couple of lighthearted moments when he's listening to Bob Marley. Now this film is directed by Francis Lawrence, who is known for directing other films like Constantine with Keanu Reeves, The Hunger Games Catching Fire, Mockingjay Parts 1 and 2, and the rest after that, and recently The Long Walk. And funny enough, he also directed the Will Smith music video Nod Your Head for Men in Black 2. And he did a really good job directing this film, making this tone feel more dark and somber and giving a very creepy feeling when an infected person is just running out into the night, and would sometimes direct some emotional moments, like one character is trying to do something that's really big and that character is just looking away and making sure that character doesn't see what he or she is doing, and would give us some establishing shots, like right when the movie starts and we get that news report, it just cuts to 3 years later where we already see New York is isolated, as well as a blatant and bad joke for a Superman and Batman crossover. Let's talk about Robert Neville, played by Will Smith, who is a scientist who is trying to do his normal routine so that he doesn't mess up and an infected person doesn't kill him, where he usually goes out to find some food for both him and his dog, or he would sometimes return a movie that he doesn't need anymore. And he's doing that so that he knows what he's doing, where he feels like he's got things under control when he's trying to create a cure. And he's been trying to find a cure for a long time by testing it on either infected rats or one infected person that he took and knocked her out, where he really is trying to find a cure so that he can help people get better. Now I do like Will Smith as an actor. I do like his charismatic acting in movies like Men in Black and Independence Day, but I do think this is one of his more underrated performances, where he doesn't show that charismatic attitude like he would in things like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's more toned down and serious and has some emotional moments as well, like one scene involving him in front of Grand Central Station, or when he gives a monologue about how the infected destroyed everything and caused the whole world to go downhill. And Will Smith is fantastic in this film, and it is one of my favorite performances of his. I also love James Newton Howard's score. He gives the film a very dark and somber feel, and sometimes a tragic tone when something serious happens. And when you see those emotional moments happen, that score does help elevate them more and give you the feeling like, oh god, that is horrible. Now, where the film does lose me at times is that it does have a couple of moments that do take a little too long to finish. Like, there'll be scenes when Robert Neville is trying to look for food in an abandoned house that doesn't have infected in them, and then it would just move to another monologue scene when he's trying to talk to someone through this radio that he has to see if there's someone out there. And that can get a little repetitive at times, where you feel like, okay, we've already done this before, let's move on and do something different. My other issue with the film are the infected people being CGI. Now, they were originally gonna make these infected people real people with makeup and practical effects on them, but Francis Lawrence didn't like how they looked on camera, so they decided to go with CGI instead. And I don't think that was a good idea, because when you look at them in CGI, you can really tell that they look very cartoony and noticeable. And there'll be times when you would see an infected person right in front of Will Smith. It really doesn't feel terrifying. It just feels like you're just seeing like a cartoony character right in front of him. And now we get to the ending, which unfortunately I am gonna get into spoilers because it's a big moment that happens in the very end, and I am gonna give you that warning if you don't want this movie ruined for you. And if you don't want any spoilers, then skip to here. And again, if you don't want any spoilers, that's your warning. So after Anna, played by Alice Braga, and her son Ethan rescue Neville from the infected, they find out on the next night that the infected followed both of them home, which causes them to break in and try to kill them. But both Neville, Anna, and Ethan go into Neville's lab and try to lock themselves in there, and they see that this infected that Neville has been experimenting on is already slowly going back to normal, all because of this new serum that he was trying to work on. And then he takes the infected person's blood, gives it to Anna, and puts both her and Ethan in this small room and closes the door, and decides not to go in there with them because he is infected now. One of them already bit him, where Neville takes out a grenade, causing him to blow up with the infected and letting Anna and Ethan survive with the serum so that they would give it to the army and have Robert Neville be a legend to the people that he's been trying to save. Now, this people left a lot of people bitter because they would say that they enjoyed the film but hated the ending because they thought it was an easy way for them to end the film by killing off its main character and having the other characters get the serum so that they can win. Where in the book it goes in a very different and dark direction. And there is an alternate ending to this film in the alternate cut where instead of Robert Neville killing himself, he decides to give the infected people their person back that he's been experimenting on, where he realizes that they weren't there to try to kill him, they just wanted to get her back, and they soon realize that he's been experimenting on other infected people and killing them, making it look like that he's the enemy here, not the infected. And then Neville decides to go with Ethan and Anna to Vermont where they can find the surviving people. And I can understand why a lot of people would prefer that ending over this one, because the alternate ending makes that character look like he's becoming a villain when all he was trying to do is trying to help people but didn't realize what he was doing was wrong. But this is gonna be a hot take, which come here for a minute. I actually don't mind the theatrical ending. I know a lot of people hate the theatrical ending, but I don't. And I understand why a lot of people hate the theatrical ending, but I don't mind it because, one, Neville got infected, so there was no point for him to survive with them. And two, it's supposed to be in line with the title of the film, I Am Legend, where he was the one that finally made the cure and decided to sacrifice his own life to save that cure, making him look like he's become a legend to the people that he's been trying to save. Plus, it still gives the film a very sad tone, knowing that he won't be alive, seeing how he saved everyone. Plus, if he didn't make that cure and decided to give it up for them, he would realize that all the struggle and sacrifices he went through all mean nothing. I Am Legend is a good movie that I do like to watch in the fall from time to time. In fact, this movie is a perfect film to watch around the fall. It's not great, it does have some issues, like some of the pacing can drag when Neville is just looking through other places too much and the CGI on the infected don't really work, but it still has the feeling of isolation, a great score, an engaging story, and a great performance from Will Smith. I'm gonna give I Am Legend a B. So guys, if you have seen I Am Legend, what do you think about it? And what do you guys think of the endings as well? Do you prefer the theatrical ending or do you prefer the alternate ending? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.